between the cycleway and the road. And in fact, it is called a verge. And I think we need to be careful that whatever we do, we don't describe that as a verge.
Out of the workshops, it was very, very clear that people had concerns about that approach to verges, and it was made very clear at that meeting we had on the 29th, and the officers were here taking notes, so I think that they are very well aware of how...
The word green road or something that...
What did... Yeah, Councillor...
I think it's a good point that Councillor saying, but Sarah, but I think the thing is the way this works is that the trees are going to be in the verge, and the verge is going to have to be wide enough to take in the sort of span of the tree, because otherwise the buses are going to hit the trees. So the verge is going to have to be wide enough to fit the tree, and the verge can't be enough to very hard.
What you could do, Madam Chair, is you could replace the word trees and verges with the words trees within verges.
That's good.
Is that what
Or do you...
Yeah, I mean,
trees within green
whatever the
verges?
wording is that ensures that we get...
Yeah.
If you put trees within verges, the verges have to be wide enough. That's where.
Yeah, but that doesn't. I think it's.
But the thing is that in some places currently the trees are not actually in verges, are they? They are actually planted into the pavement. I'm not saying that's ideal, but some is better than no tree, isn't it? So I'm not really careful about that.
But again, if you are looking at a sensible redesign of the Milton Road aspect, putting trees within verges is quite a good constraint.
Yes, but if you only constrain it to trees within verges, you prevent yourself from having trees
Where there aren't.
where there is no space to put a verge.
Well, we've already got the verges. We don't want to lose them.
But that type of tree you refer to is very undesirable.
Well, yeah.
It's better than no trees, I suppose. But, so what's the general feeling here? Do we want to amend this, or should we proceed with it as it is written here?
I think leave it, because then it's more flexible.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the assurance from the board in writing that there will be trees and verges for the whole length of the road. So I don't think we need to re-emphasise that point. They've already said it. All we're saying at the moment is that we don't want the cycling and pedestrians between the trees and verges and the road. So I think that confirms that position. And as you know, people have already said, what we're trying to say by this resolution is that pedestrians and cyclists are protected from vehicle traffic by the delineation of trees and verges.
Councillor.
Be slightly careful there, Chair, that there aren't trees and verges the entire length of Milton Road as it is. I'm not even sure that it's practically possible or even desirable. I think to guarantee that it's the whole length of Milton Road would be promising something that I don't think the board can actually deliver, because there aren't trees and verges the whole length anyway.
I disagree with that. I think just because we have a bad precedent doesn't mean we have to design to that bad precedent.
Actually,
I strongly think that we've got to separate pedestrians and cyclists and protect them by a length of trees and verges.
and what the letter says is an avenue of trees. And it does actually say an avenue of trees, because I remember being interested that that was what that's the wording of the letter. I think we should rely on the letter. Does anybody else have a...
Sorry, Chair, just to say, you know, in relation to what Councillor Pointer just said then, is that you said in the last workshop, I think, that you know, there'll be lots of accesses to their houses to get their cars in and out, so that's going to cut out the verges anyway. There won't be a continuous verge. In some places there won't be much verge at all, because they'll need to get access to their houses. So, you know, there won't be verges everywhere, basically.
I think, I mean, probably the most people can actually say more than this here, but my understanding, certainly from people I've spoken to, when they talk residents of Milton Road, when they talk about verges, they think of those green spaces between front of them now, and that's what they define as a verge. Now, I appreciate it's probably different to that, but I think we've got to be careful that we're not minimising or trying to redefine what we think a verge is.
And that's, sorry, Chair. I was just going to say, I agree with the councillor. It's not an issue of verges, but the size of them, because if they consider those that are on Hills Road as a verge, which are minuscule, that's where the concerns are arising from. Because if we're just saying verges and they say that is a verge, then where do we go from?
The wording, I've got the letter of the wording from the letter from Cambridge City Deal. It says, we want to be clear as a board that we support an avenue of mature trees as a core design element along Milton Road, and also the provision of grass verges and planting, and effective wider public lands and landscaping. So they also got to say about the no double slaying at any point. I think the principle is there.
Now, the probably, we could actually say consistent with the board's letter of the such and such date.
14th of September.
I think we should.
Of the 14th of September.
Yeah.
So why don't we say this? The LLF, Local Liaison Forum, urges the board to instruct officers to implement segregation of pedestrians and cyclists from motor traffic by trees and verges on both sides of the road in any new design consistent with the board's letter of the 14th of September. Was it, no, June?
14th of September.
September, sorry, the 14th of September, 2016. Yeah. So are people, who is in favour of this resolution then?
As an
As amended. Sorry. Good. Anybody against? And Councillor Price abstaining. Good.
We just make it clear that Councillor Price is abstaining
For all.
throughout.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Default.
Yes, our intrepid Ms. Mule will make that note. Yes.
All will be clear in a minute.
Good. Number 6, priorities at minor road junctions. The Local Liaison Forum requests the board to require that any plans carried forward for Milton Road should incorporate safety features at minor junctions such as Copenhagen crossings with intermediate level changes as an aid for the visually handicapped, those persons with visual.
Can I suggest we change that to impaired,
Yes, I know.
please?
Sorry, this was
Sorry,
impaired.
Yeah, and is not the word.
Now, there was another issue about...
Are you supposed to say an aid for people with visual handicaps?
No.
Visual impairment.
Yeah, persons with a
So it's
visual
visual
disability.
You don't define a person by disability, you define a person. So,
But
as an
is,
aid for people with visual impairment.
a visual, now wasn't
As an
there,
aid for people with a visual impairment.
Was there an issue about physical disability too, in that there has to be special accommodation, or was it sufficient that we just note in person
It
with
was just
visual? The LLF requests the board to require that any plans carried forward for Milton Road should incorporate safety features at minor junctions, such as Copenhagen crossings with intermediate level changes as an aid for persons with a visual impairment. Good. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I must have missed it somewhere, but I'm not sure what these intermediate level changes mean.
Yes, me too.
Well, they were discussed at the workshop when we had a session on, I think to understand, you have to do a drawing probably.
Off you go.
Try describing it.
The way it was put to us is that somebody with a visual impairment with a stick relies upon a change in level to figure out where the edge is of where the motor traffic might be.
Yes.
with a standard Copenhagen crossing, there is no change in that. But the engineer that was on our table said, oh yes, that could be done, you'd have a sort of partial change of rail. And that seemed to satisfy the...
So is this the technical term then, Michael?
I haven't invented one yet.
No.
Perhaps you could help us on that.
As long as they know what it is.
And because the officers were at the workshops, and this will have been incorporated into the feedback from the workshops. So,
Sorry, can I?
yes, Tom. Yeah.
I'm afraid I don't think that the resolution picks up the crucial point, which is that the priority shall change. What it is, as written at present, is to make change of priority safe for the visually impaired. If someone with visual impairment. But the real meat of this is that pedestrians and cyclists shall have free flow, as it were, along Milton Road, and that the side roads, vehicle traffic will wait. I should have noticed that earlier, I'm sorry.
No, so really then it should incorporate safety features for cyclists and pedestrians at minor junctions such as Copenhagen crossing to the intermediate level changes and aid for persons with visual impairment. Is that what you mean?
No, because it's
We've incorporated it in the preamble.
Shall I roll for a moment?
Yeah.
We request the board to require that plans carried forward shall allocate priority to footpaths and cycle lanes over vehicle traffic at all minor road junctions, not controlled by traffic lights. That's what the meat of this is.
Yeah.
And then there's a concern about giving the indication.
So you're basically bringing the preamble into...
I would just use the preamble, just put resolution 6, and then start the Milton Road LLF considers that rural, and we request so that they explain this priority.
Saves messing around.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. But you already done it. We're just saying incorporate the preamble into the resolution
I know that.
by emboldening.
And can you put in the next bit then by saying there are further requests to the board?
Yes.
You get that in.
So why don't we put the Milton Road Local Liaison Forum considers that walking, the reason I'm having a problem with it is that we've got preambles to the others and we've got a resolution underneath, so that by rights we should really support it. But anyway, if we do it this way, I suppose it doesn't matter. The Milton Road Local Liaison Forum, this is the resolution number 6. The Milton Road Local Liaison Forum considers that walking and cycling would be enhanced if footpaths and cycle lanes were to have priority over vehicular traffic at all minor road junctions not controlled by traffic lights, and therefore requests that the board require any plans carried forward for Milton Road incorporate safety features at minor junctions such as Copenhagen crossings and incorporate intermediate level changes as an aid for persons with a visual impairment.
Yeah.
With all due respect, no, but therefore takes away the meaning.
Why?
What did I say therefore?
You did. You put therefore, if you put further requests, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm sorry that it therefore says we're only asking for the Copenhagen crossings.
You say that therefore means we're only asking for it for visually impaired people. If you say...
No, I didn't say. I'm sorry. Let me read it again. The Milton Road Local Liaison Forum considers that walking and cycling would be enhanced if footpaths and cycle lanes were to have priority over vehicular traffic at all minor road junctions not controlled by traffic lights. And the LLF requests the board to require that any plans carried forward for Milton Road should incorporate safety features at minor junctions such as Copenhagen crossings, and that in this should also incorporate intermediate level changes as an aid for persons with a visual handicap, with a visual impairment. Is that satisfactory?
I think so.
Good, thank you. Now, do you have that, Ms. Moore?
Only scribbled, I'm afraid, because I haven't got the resolutions electronically, which makes it a little
Oh,
bit
I'm
difficult.
sorry.
But I think I know what I'm doing. So we are turning the with is becoming,
A part of the resolution.
and that this should also incorporate. Yes,
Good.
lovely, I think we're clear.
So, who is in favour of that resolution, resolution 6, as amended? Yes. Anybody against? And then we have our abstains.
I'm also abstaining.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I'm slightly concerned, although I absolutely accept the need for in order to encourage cycling and pedestrian, in order to encourage them to use that. I'm slightly concerned, given this is only a 2-lane road, the delays that might cause for traffic.
So this is only going crossing minor road,
I know, but
not the main road.
Right.
sure about that.
Thank you, thank you. Then we move to number 6. So this, 7, which relates to parking outside the shops near Arbury Road. This is at the junction of Arbury Road, Union Lane, Milton Road. The Milton Road Local Liaison Forum requests the board to ensure that short-term parking is catered for properly adjacent to the shopping areas of Milton Road, and to empower their consultant architect to enter into negotiations with shop owners with a view to improving the quality of the streetscape. I think that just looking at that, I don't know whether you'd say that the consultant architect should enter into negotiations, because shouldn't there be people from the City Deal Board the City Deal officers themselves be engaged in that negotiation too? I don't know.
Isn't it for them to choose?
Yes.
Because actually it was the landscape architect who recommended that discussion with landowners, wasn't it?
Can I just propose, can we propose, Anna, that we, that we remove empower their consultant architect and just go straight to, and to enter into negotiation?
Yeah. As it is.
But I think the concern was that the consultant architect actually had very clear ideas about that. Is that what I think the concern was? Oh, okay. We'll leave it then.
So we're striking out to empower their consultant architect.
So we'll
Sorry, can we need to say though about negotiations with shop owners? That's not really part of. But aren't we just actually asking for the parking and the improvement in the streetscape?
The problem is that their
It's
shop
private.
frontages go right up to the edge of the pavement, and what the consultant architect was suggesting, having a discussion with those people such that they might come to a mutually beneficial solution which enabled something other than what's there now.
Oh, that's right.
So it would then read, the Milton Road Local Liaison Forum requests the board to ensure that short-term parking is properly catered for adjacent to the shopping areas of Milton Road, and enter into negotiations with shop owners with a view to improving the quality of the streetscape. This is consistent with the wish to have a square.
Can I propose an amendment?
Yes.
Because it's not clear which shops on Milton Road we're talking about. We've got to add after Milton Road near the Arbury Road junction.
Yeah.
The number 7 is called, and if you're going to put a preamble there,
Well, we're not.
We have
Yeah, but I think in terms of the resolution itself, it needs to say and near the Arbury Road. Yeah. Otherwise, it would be the emissions caution.
Yeah, I think that's right. No, we put the resolutions forward with the preamble to each resolution, but it should read this way. The local liaison forum requests the board to ensure that short-term parking is properly catered for adjacent to the shopping areas of Milton Road near the Arbury Road junction, and enter into negotiations with shop owners with a view to improving the quality of the streetscape. Who is in favour of that resolution as amended? Anybody against? And we have our
Not that same.
yeah, so we move on to number 8, which is parking on Milton Road. The local Milton Road Local Liaison Forum requests the board to instruct officers to carry out an audit of residential properties without off-road parking spaces so that provision is made only in those cases. Does anybody have any comment to make about this one?
Slightly, the wording, provision is made only in those cases, is slightly vague for me.
I think this follows our...
Councillor Bradley, unless you put something from the preamble into that resolution, it doesn't tell the whole story of the resolution.
The ones that don't have their own off-road parking were 168 and 172, that was what the lady told us.
Yeah.
So yes, they should do their own audit, because they jolly well ought to know which houses do and don't have their own parking.
Did you have...
Perhaps, pay particular with reference to numbers 168, 172, or whatever.
But again, the whole essence of it is that we want to say no free parking. And that last bit is all about an exception to that general rule. We haven't said we want no free parking.
Yes.
Right, I mean, there's an obvious flaw here because it does mean the shops at the lower end of Milton Road won't have parking in future. They've got a parking bay with 20 minutes, I think it is, parking. And when we've had our discussions on Mitcham's Corner, we've actually said we need more parking in the Mitcham's Corner area. So I'm afraid I can't support this resolution at the moment. I think also there's also the big issue which we need to address, not necessarily here, that a lot of people who live in George and Herbert Street are also reliant on parking on Milton Road. So I think it's quite a wide issue, and I'm not sure if this resolution as framed addresses that. Somebody in the audience is...
Yes.
We know that the George Street and Herbert Street should be addressed by residents' parking review.
There is a parking review going on at present, and the proposition is that the county should undertake a formal consultation with residents in that area in Herbert Street, George Street, Springfield Road, Chesterton Hall Crescent, Hawthorne Way, Chestnut Grove, Elizabeth Street and Milton Road that borders that. So that actually is on the table.
It should negate the pressure on Milton Road parking.
Possibly.
Or make it worse.
Well, possibly, but why should we subsidise?
Let me have a look at this. Well,
Can I just stress that the resolution is two different things. The first part of it asks the officers to do an audit, and the second part then is presupposing their findings, which we know, but it's presupposing the findings, and what we ought to be doing is saying, act sensibly on the basis of the information you gather, rather than...
no, I
Can I ask a question to Mike? We're talking about shops.
Yes.
This doesn't talk about shops, it talks about residential properties.
No, but it says there'll only be off-road parking for residents.
No.
No, does it say that?
It does say residential properties without off-road parking spaces.
Yes, but
And
then...
provision is only made in those cases, which means that there'll be no parking outside the shop.
Well...
Why don't you just put it south of the Gilbert Road traffic lights? You distinguish between the two areas.
I think the point is that this is a resolution about residential parking, not a resolution about shops parking. But what about this? The local liaison forum requests the board to instruct officers to carry out an audit of residential properties without off-road parking spaces, and particular attention must be paid to the properties at 168 to 172 Milton Road that do not have off-street parking.
Madam Chairman, the issue is that as proposed in the blue zone, they would have actually been denied any vehicular access whatsoever.
Yes.
Because it was intended to put an effective barrier of landscaping in front of them. So it would have actually made bad matters worse. At the moment, you can actually park on the pavement because it's wide enough to have vehicles who need to have access to those properties without cluttering up around that.
So the purpose was to make
So
an exception.
it's really alerting them to the fact that there is a problem on that corner.
Can I make a proposal?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the first part, which is the board to instruct officers to carry out an audit of residential properties without off-road parking spaces and make sure that there is suitable provision for them.
Yeah. And give notice of something else.
And this shouldn't be miles away, I mean,
Yeah, but
And then
suitable.
that suitable provision, that would,
they say be close.
I mean, there is a difference between parking provision
If I'm
and
saying that,
vehicular access to the premises
yes,
for
I'm
people who
saying that,
need it.
because the original answer to that was, oh, they can park in highway parking.
Chair,
Yeah.
with regard to my earlier point, 55 minutes left, we need to crack on, I think.
Yeah.
So, you know.
The resolution will read thus. The local liaison forum, Milton Road, requests the board to instruct officers to carry out an audit of residential properties without off-road parking spaces and make suitable provision for them.
Yeah.
Yes. So, all in favour of this resolution? Anybody against? And we have our abstention. Sorry, I beg your pardon. You're against. And can you indicate why, because that might help us.
Because I don't think that when the resolution meets what addresses the problem that we thought it was addressing. Yes, it helps to alleviate something for those houses which haven't got it, but it doesn't make the point about getting rid of the rest of on-street parking. It just doesn't say it. That's why I'm against it. But I can look it up, I just put it in my point.
The preamble go with it.
Yes, absolutely, the preamble will go with it,
The
yes.
preamble doesn't get it.
It doesn't
Can
say it.
I just tell you also about a slight issue? There are houses on the bottom different, that don't have any parking at all anyway now. So we might actually be creating a bigger problem by offering them parking than we wish to remove.
The change is beyond Gilbert Road. South of Gilbert Road.
Chair, I think you've just voted.
Yeah.
We just voted on it, yeah.
Move on.
Madam Chairman, one of the points made at the workshop was the needs for parking associated with the shopping centre at the bottom end of Milton Road, close to Milton's Corner. And that's now got lost by the narrowing of Resolution 7. May I give notice of proposing basically a mirror to 7 relating to that area, because it's just as important for them to have parking for customers, us,
Well, why not?
as anyone else.
I mean, we shouldn't really revisit the resolution, but we could do this. The local liaison...
No, I'm not proposing you revisit that
Okay.
resolution.
Right.
I'm proposing that you have a mirror of the wording in Resolution 7 related to the lower end.
So what you'd be proposing is the local liaison forum requests the board to instruct officers to carry out an audit of...
No, we've done that.
I'm sorry, if you will allow me to continue.
No, we can't.
With all due respect.
It's the 7th.
Mirroring 7.
For the shops and the bottom.
Oh, I beg your pardon, but that's about a...
No, that has been narrowed down to restrict it to the shops.
near Arbury Road.
Near Arbury Road.
Say you wanted to be
And
so
you actually need then a mirror resolution of that relating to bottom end.
Removing the
Simple.
negotiation.
It's just to repeat the wording and stick
Well,
the shops.
are people happy
At the end
then,
of those
if we,
negotiations,
right, are people happy if we proceed with the resolution in these terms? This will be resolution 7A. The local liaison forum requests the board to ensure that short-term parking is properly catered for adjacent to the shopping areas of Milton Road in the vicinity of Mitcham's Corner and to enter into negotiations with shop owners with a view to improving the quality of the streetscape, because the streetscape there is inadequate. So is everybody clear on what we'll be voting on if we make that resolution? People in favour of a resolution in those terms 7A? Yes. Anybody against? Right, and we've got our abstention. Bus stops. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. Councillor Tunnicliffe abstains. Resolution 9, bus stops. Milton Road Local Liaison Forum requests the board to direct officers to observe the above design principles. The Milton Road Local Liaison Forum requests the board to direct officers to observe the design features set out in the preamble to this resolution when citing bus stops on Milton Road, and to provide the following at or near every bus stop. 1, a zebra crossing across the adjacent cycle path, and 2, a Tucson crossing at Milton Road, across Milton Road.
Tucson at every bus stop.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Do you want to give priority?
No,
No, but I shall vote
you
against
travel
it.
through it.
Well, that's fine. You're allowed.
So who would vote in favour of that with the amendment that I incorporated reference to the preamble to the resolution? You missed that. The Milton Road Local Liaison Forum requests the board to direct officers to observe the design principles set out in the preamble to this resolution when citing bus stops on Milton Road, and to provide the following at or near every bus stop. A zebra crossing across the adjacent cycle path, and B, a Tucson crossing across Milton Road. Good.
So zebra crossing and two crossing.
The zebra crossing goes across the cycle path. It's not the cyclists mowing down people getting off buses.